The 2025 Australian Open is just days away now, and there are three men at the forefront of people's minds. Of course, top seed Jannik Sinner, he is trying to defend his title and further prove himself as the best men's player right now. Carlos Alcaraz, though, has something to say about this, as he's gunning for major history, trying to become the youngest player ever to complete the career slam at 21 years old. Novak Djokovic, who is no stranger to history himself, wants to be the first player, male or female, to win 25 major singles titles. But Novak, even with Andy Murray behind him in his corner now, might be in for an uphill battle, as the Serb has probably one of his most toughest slam draws in his career. Hey, my name is Christian Bassnight, and welcome to Christian's Court, where I cover tennis from all angles. If you have not yet already, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so you're notified whenever I post Australian Open updates throughout the tournament for the next few weeks or so. Now, before I get into the specific sections, let's go over the projected quarterfinal matchups. First, there is Jannik Sinner, who could face 8 seed Alex de Minaur, then Taylor Fritz and Daniil Medvedev, followed by, in the bottom part, Novak Djokovic and Carlos Alcaraz, which is crazy that they can meet in the quarterfinals, and then Casper Ruud and Alexander Zverev, low-key a little bit of a snooze fest, but anyways, let's move on. Starting off with Jannik Sinner's section, I saw some people say that Jannik's draw is easy because, of course, he does not have Alcaraz, Djokovic, or Zverev, his three biggest threats, in his half. It's very valid for people to say that, but still, I think his quarter is very interesting and can cause him some problems. He opens against Nicolas Jarry, a former top 20 player who was top 20 just last season. I think this is a solid season opener test for Sinner, as Jarry, has a big serve and decent weapons, but I still think that he should still clear him. Jannik is projected to face his countryman Flavio Cobolli in the third round. Cobolli is talented, but I just don't think that he has it right now to really trouble or, of course, topple Sinner. Now, the bottom part of this section is very interesting, as we first see Hubert Hurkacz at a lower seeding than what we're accustomed to seeing him at, which is 18 here. He has an interesting, tricky opener against Talon Griekspoor. In addition to Griekspoor, there's some other solid unseeded players like Miomir Kecmanovic, as well as Matteo Berrettini and Cam Norrie, who will face off against one another in the opening round. Holger Rune is there as well, too, as a seed in the bottom part. I love the young fella, but I just don't think I have him making the second week again. This section is just too tough for him, I feel. Hurkacz, to me, is going to be the best pick to progress to the second week to face Sinner. He looks solid at the United Cup, and he's also seeming to be determined to have a better season than he did in 2024. He has added Nicolas Massou and Ivan Lendl to his box, and he just looks overall more physically fit as well. He also tends to perform relatively decent at the Australian Open too. Now, call me crazy, but I actually could see him knock out Sinner if they faced off in the fourth round. Hurkacz, he did push him well in the Halle final last year, 2 tight tiebreak sets, and I think that he really has the game, and the weaponry to beat Sinner for sure. I'm going to stay on the safe side, though, and pick Jannik to make the quarterfinals, as it's just hard to bet against him right now, for real. The next section belongs to Alex de Minaur, and it's probably the weakest section out of the 8. De Minaur is going to be seeking his first quarterfinal in Melbourne, and he has a good opportunity to do so here with this draw. He opens against Botic van der Zandschulp, who of course beat Alcaraz in the last slam at the US Open, but Botic is very streaky, and I still think that de Minaur should get through fine. Francisco Cerundolo is de Minaur's projected seeded opponent in the third round, but I can see Cerundolo fall to Alexander Bublik in the first round. Still, I think that de Minaur will progress to round 4 regardless. Up top is Stefanos Tsitsipas, who I believe is on upset alert as he faces talented American Alex Michelsen in the opening round. The 41st ranked Michelsen beat Stefanos actually in their previous match in Tokyo late last year. Best of 5, though, is a different animal, and Michelsen is prone to choking at times, but I still think that he can pull off the scalp and beat Tsitsipas. Karen Khachanov is more favored, in my opinion, to make it through there over Tsitsipas to make the fourth round. Gabriel Diallo, though, is also here, and the talented young Canadian could try and go on a run and get revenge over Khachanov from that Almaty final late last season. I think it is going to be between Khachanov and de Minaur to make the quarterfinals, and I think it's going to be Alex's time to make that Elite 8 in his home slam, so I'm going to pick him to go through. American Taylor Fritz has a pretty tough section. Giovanni and Petchy I think, will be Fritz's biggest threat out of all the players here. The 6'8" big serving Frenchman first opens up against Gael Monfils, who is currently in the Auckland finals, so props to him. I'd favor Gio for sure in this one, as I feel like he'd have a lot more in the tank compared to Monfils, and I really could see Petchy upset Fritz, as he does have a 6-1 record against top 20 players, so he's comfortable playing against seemingly some of the best of the best. The bottom section is just tough for both seeds, Ben Shelton and Lorenzo Musetti. Brandon Nakashima just missed the cutoff for seeding at number 37 in the world. Shelton won their last meeting in DC in the summer from last year in 2 tiebreak sets, but Nakashima has won his last 4 matches against fellow Americans, and I can see him go 5 in a row here against Shelton. It's a similar story for Lorenzo Musetti, as he faces a compatriot ranked in the high 30s with Matteo Arnaldi. Matteo is a solid player, and he got a good win over Alexei Popyrin in Brisbane last week, and I can see him get an upset here too. You also can't forget about the unseeded Canadian Denis Shapovalov. You never know what you'll get from him. He is a former quarterfinalist here, so maybe he could come through and make the 4th round. It's a tough section really for me to call. I can see quite a few people here progress through. I have a feeling though that it would not be Taylor for some reason, even though he is playing the tennis of his career and he looked good at the United Cup. I'm feeling bold, and I'm going to pick Giovanni here to make the quarterfinals, upsetting Fritz and Ruud. He had a good lead up in Brisbane, and I think that booming serve will complement the quicker Melbourne conditions well. Another interesting section we have here next to look at is Daniil Medvedev's, as we really don't know what to expect from the highest ranked guy here in Daniil. Daniil did not get to Melbourne until late, as he and his wife recently welcomed their 2nd child together. This section also has 2 interesting qualifiers. First, Leonard Etienne, who finished runner-up at the ATP Next Gen Finals. Then the guy who everyone's been talking about is the Next Gen champion, Joao Fonseca, who faces Andrei Rublev in the opening round. I think Fonseca has a great chance to upset Rublev, as Andrei is one of those top seeds who is more susceptible to early upsets at majors. But Fonseca, he has played a lot of tennis lately when you include the ATP Finals. He won a challenger in Canberra last week, and then he had to play 3 qualies matches to reach the main draw. So you don't know. He did win his matches, his recent matches, pretty convincingly, so that's good for him, but he's also going to be playing his first slam main draw, and best of 5 is a different animal. You really don't know what to expect. This one is probably going to be the biggest popcorn match to watch for sure. Hopefully it's going to be on Rod Laver, probably on Margaret Court Arena, but anyways, I think I'm going to stick with Rublev to progress in 5 sets. Francis Tiafoe is there in the 3rd round for Rublev possibly, and I know that he's going to be glad that Giovanni and Petchy is not in this section. I think this is a great opportunity for Francis to make the 2nd week here again, as he has a good 3-1 head-to-head record over Rublev, although those 3 wins came in Tiafoe's backyard at the US Open and the DC City Open. Still, though, I'm going to be picking Big Foe to make the 2nd week. Popyrin will be Medvedev's biggest challenge in the 1st week for him. Alexei, though, has not really done a whole lot since beating Novak Djokovic at the US Open last year, but he did beat Medvedev in Paris, although a lot of people would have beaten Medvedev in that form, to be honest. Still, despite all the question marks, if Medvedev is healthy, he should clear. He has a decent enough draw to play himself into form, and he loves playing in Melbourne. He's I think 3-time finalist now, so he'll be my quarterfinal pick here. Now, going to the bottom half, 10-time champion Novak Djokovic has a very challenging draw, as I mentioned in the intro. The Joker opens against talented 19-year-old Nishesh Basavaredi, so that will be interesting to see. Tomas Mahach is a solid, talented player and a possible 3rd-round opponent for Novak. Riley Opelka, too. He beat Novak in straight sets in Brisbane. Riley's going to be a dangerous floater for me here, especially as long as he's healthy. Opelka called it quits early in the Brisbane final against Yuri Lehechka, who is further down below here in this draw, and Lehechka is on a collision course to play Grigor Dimitrov in the 3rd round, who is another man he got a retirement from in Brisbane. Grigor retired from that match due to a groin problem, so I think that it's really going to be Lehechka Heshka's fourth round for the taking. This, again, is a very tough draw for Novak, and it's going to take a Federer 2017 Miracle in Melbourne moment for him to progress, I think. But if anyone can do it, of course, it's the GOAT, Djokovic. But I am not going to be having Novak make it out of this section. If it's not Thomas Mahac to take him out, it'll be, I think, another Czech and Jirle Heshka to do it. Both guys are playing well right now, and they're younger, and I feel more fit for best-of-5 play. Jirle Heshka will be my winner of this section. Now, despite him possibly playing Novak in the quarterfinals, I think this is a good draw for Carlos Alcaraz. Jordan Thompson, his projected third-round opponent, suffered from a right calf injury in Brisbane, so he might not be 100%. His two projected fourth-round opponents, while Sebi Korda and Jack Draper are very good, talented young players, they're very injury-prone. The hip was an issue for Draper as he was forced to pull out of his lead-up tournaments for Melbourne, and then Korda is coming off of elbow surgery, but he's currently in the semifinals of the Adelaide 250. If these guys are healthy, I believe that they can give Carlos a good match, but Alcaraz will still be my pick to progress. Next, for 6th seed Casper Ruud section, I don't think that we'll see Casper make it to the quarterfinals, just being blunt. He's never done it before in Melbourne, as it's not his best slam, and I don't see that changing in 2025. Jakub Mensik is a dangerous floater there. I believe he could knock out Ruud should they face. Also, Jerry Shang, too, another talented young teen, resides in this little section. Felix Auger-Aliassime also is looming as a threat here as well. That top half is very interesting, but again, I would favor Mensik or Felix Auger-Aliassime over the actual top seed here in this section, Ruud. To be honest, I believe Tommy Paul will be the favorite to progress and make the semifinals in Melbourne once again. Kenny Shikori is a potential second-round opponent for the American, but I think that Paul's draw is good, and I think he's in good form, so I'm going to have him make the quarterfinals. Finally, it's Alexander Zverev's section. The second seed has some minor question marks coming into the slam as he withdrew from his last United Cup match due to a bicep strain. Zverev has a possible third-round meeting with Nick Kyrgios, who also has an injury concern, as he revealed that he suffered from an abdominal strain, but says that he still will be good to go. We'll see about that when the time comes for him to play his opening round match against Jacob Friendly. I know Zverev always does well in the slams, but I think that he has a big challenge in whoever he faces in the fourth round in either Hugo Humbert or another Frenchman, Arthur Fils. The winner of that possible all-French affair, I believe, will win this section. Fils has a better chance at beating Zverev, in my opinion, as I think he has the better game to do so. But I'm going to have Humbert progress, as he does have, but first, more experience in the slams and going a little bit deeper than Fils. And then also, I think that he be a little bit more allowable than Arthur, as he showed better form comparing their lead-up form. So Hugo Humbert will be my pick to progress through to the quarterfinals. For my final predictions, I have a Sinner Medvedev, another Sinner Medvedev match, and then Alcaraz and Paul. And then the finals, a dream final, will be between Jannik Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz. And for the champion, I think I might change my mind. I had Jannik Sinner written down. My head is going for Jannik Sinner, but my heart is Alcaraz. I'm going to trust my heart. That's not saying that I really want Alcaraz to win. It's just a feeling inside of there. So I don't know. I feel like he got the edgy haircut going. This is such a BS explanation. But yeah, off the whim of it, I'm going with Carlos Alcaraz actually to win the Australian Open. Yeah. Anyways, first going over my snubs. Holger Rune, first snub. I'm sorry, buddy, but no. Hubert Hurkacz, I think, could actually upset Sinner, to be honest. Tsitsipas, Khachanov, de Minaur, I don't think have what it takes to beat Sinner here. Fritz, I think, is a huge, huge snub. I admit, I think he can make the semis and maybe go all the way. Of course, he's projected to make the semifinals. Shelton and Musetti are more snubs in that little Fritz section, but I just do not think that they even have what it takes to go all the way and win this title. Novak, of course, a major snub, the king of Melbourne. It really could be his Roger Federer 2017 moment, and he does his big one, but I don't see it for him right now. Jack Draper or Sebi Korda could possibly upset Alcaraz and maybe make the final. Ruud, to me, is just not a snub. Love the guy, but I just don't see it for him. Same with Felix Auger-Aliassime. I am pretty confident in that Paul semifinal pick. Zverev, he's a little bit sneaky. He could round himself into form. He tends to always do well in slams, so possibly he could I don't think he'll go all the way, but maybe he could go deep and maybe make another final and fumble that as well. Nick Kyrgios is not a title contender. I could see Fils instead of Humbert, but Fils still, I don't think he has what it takes to go all the way and win a slam. There's a chance, though, that I could be overlooking Daniil Medvedev. Of course, we haven't seen much of the guy. He did arrive, as I mentioned earlier, late in Melbourne due to the birth of his second child, but he tends to perform well at the hardcourt slams. If he's healthy, why not him? Obviously, the biggest threat will be Jannik Sinner in that half. Still, I think right now it's Sinner's half to lose, and really it's his tournament to lose. He is the head and shoulders best hardcourt player right now, and he's healthy too, so really people should be penciling him as the winner, and I did. I feel like, though, if we do get that Sinner Alcaraz final, it'd be a toss-up, to be honest. Alcaraz went 3-0 against Sinner last year. Jannik, he did win this title before. He's trying to become the first man since, I believe, Rafa and Nadal to defend their first major title, and that happened in 2006. Again, like I said, my heart said Alcaraz and head said Sinner, and I was going to stick with Sinner as I predicted him to win this slam weeks ago, but for some reason, I just have a feeling that it might be Alcaraz's time. Now, again, there's a question. I mentioned this too in my overall 2025 prediction video, that there's a factor that Carlos might get so wrapped up in the history of trying to complete the career slam, but I think that overall the determination will get him through. And if there's anyone that can beat Jannik Sinner right now in a slam final, it's Carlos Alcaraz. So I'm going to go with him to win and claim his 5th major title and create history, even more history. That is all I have for my Australian Open men's preview. And let me know what you think about my pick of having Carlos Alcaraz win. Do you think that Sinner will win instead? Or do you believe that I'm overlooking the likes of Djokovic and he might win his 11th Aussie Open crown? What about Medvedev too? Any other players you feel like I'm overlooking? Comment them down below. Again, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so you are notified whenever I post more Aussie Open content coming. I have so much content coming for y'all, so you're going to want to stay notified whenever it's out. So stay tuned. Thank you all so much for watching and for your support, and I will see you all next time here on Christian's Court.